A wealthy businessman is murdered in his Florida home.
There was blood spatter everywhere. It was on the walls, on the sink, on the bathtub.
It was determined that 10 shots had been fired, and it could have been 2 shooters.
And there are plenty of suspects, all with a personal axe to grind.
His dad left him to hang out to dry, and also emotionally abused him.
It turned out my father had this woman that he's going to lunch with her, going to dinner with her.
Are you best friends?
Beyond best friends.
Did you shoot your father?
Absolutely not.
When a hidden journal reveals the truth, a killer's motive becomes crystal clear.
You really see the inner workings of her thoughts.
This is a classic case of love and revenge.
My father pushed her, and she snapped.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Friday, September 30th, 2011.
Jupiter, Florida, a beautiful place, right on the coast in South Florida, very affluent, nice area.
We have some famous people that live in there. It's a really, really high-end community.
But even the wealthy enclave known as Admiral's Cove isn't immune to violent crime. Just after 7 a.m., private security guards respond to alarms set off at the home of Lanny Horwitz, his wife Donna, and their 37-year-old son, Radley.
One of the alarms detected a glass break.
The guard at Admiral's Cove actually went to the house in a golf cart, and when he got to the door, he was greeted by Radley Horwitz.
He must have been, actually on the street at the time because he arrived really, really fast.
Radley tells the guard he doesn't know what happened.
I still don't remember if it was my phone alarm or the house alarm that woke me up, but it was gunfire and screaming and the alarm going off.
Donna Horwitz was standing in the living room, very upset.
She was saying, like, Radley, your father. And she said, like, he was so awful. But she kept repeating, he was so awful, he was so awful, he was so awful.
Donna appeared to experience some degree of shock over what she said she found. She suggested that it was a suicide, and that Lanny had been emotionally unstable and had talked about suicide.
Radley directs the guard to his father's bathroom, where he is met by a gruesome scene. Lying in the shower is 66-year-old Lanny Horwitz, covered in blood, with an apparent gunshot wound to his head.
The security guard saw Lanny on the floor with a gun in his hand. He did move the gun to the hallway, and then he tried to perform life-saving techniques and realized that Lanny wasn't breathing and there was no heartbeat.
Yes, this is Admiral Security calling in because we have a dead person.
Okay, did he shoot himself?
That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay, so he committed suicide.
Right.
This is a very secure, safe neighborhood, and there was no reason to expect that it had been anything but a suicide. When police arrived there at the house at Admiral's Cove, Donna Horwitz and Radley Horwitz were asked to be seated in the front seat of a car that remained in the driveway.
I remember I asked one of the cops, I'm like, is my dad, I felt like such an idiot, but I'm like, is my dad alive? He just shook his head, no.
The first thing I did was assess the scene in the bathroom. There was blood spatter everywhere, pretty much. It was on the walls, on the sink, on the bathtub.
The shower was still running. Mr. Horowitz was nude and had apparently been showering at the time that this had happened.
A single detail immediately stands out as odd to investigators.
He was kind of on his side, and there was a phone receiver next to his hand.
The way the blood splatter is, Lanny's trying to get to that phone that's in the bathroom, which if you're committing suicide, you're not going to try to pick up the phone.
Obviously, law enforcement wants to know what happened. What precipitated this event in this house? And was nobody else present?
I was shell-shocked. I couldn't believe that my dad was gone.
Born in Buffalo, New York on July 30th, 1945, Lanny Horwitz learned the power of money at a young age.
My dad's father was successful. He'd been a furrier, and then he got into real estate. So my dad grew up with 3 other siblings and had a happy, comfortable life growing up. But his father instilled a very good work ethic in him.
Lanny proved to be a natural entrepreneur and started building his own fortune at the age of 16.
He was very, very driven, very motivated. He was trading stocks. He was involved in real estate with his father, and he was a real go-getter.
Lanny was just as driven when it came to matters of the heart.
Lanny and Donna Horwitz met and started dating when she was about 15 and he was about 16.
The story my father told me was when he saw my mom coming down the stairs at this house that, like, he knew right then that's who he wanted to marry.
Donna, she had been raised with money.
My grandfather on my mom's side, Dan Carnevale, was very successful. He was a local baseball celebrity in Buffalo with the Bisons, and he knew absolutely everybody in town. My mom was very warm, and everybody loved her.
The two dated throughout their teenage years and got married in 1967, just before Donna's 21st birthday.
But the families were supportive. The wedding made the paper and stuff like that because of my grandfather. Like, everybody was pretty happy.
4 years later, Lanny graduated from law school and continued to pursue a career in real estate.
And my thing with a law degree is it's like karate. It's very good to know, and you hope you never need it. So being a developer, it was extremely helpful for him in business.
Donna and Lanny had their son Radley in 1974. A few years after that, they moved to get away from the harsh New York winters.
Buffalo, New York, the blizzard of '77, they're still talking about up there. And my father was stuck downtown for several days in an office building. It was that bad of a storm. That was what convinced my parents to do the pilgrimage down to South Florida.
Real estate in Florida has historically been very profitable. This was a ripe place to be able to come and make money.
The move paid off. Lanny quickly found success in the Sunshine State.
He provided very well for the family. Donna was a homemaker.
In Jupiter, the place that my parents built in, it was called Admiral's Cove. It was a private community, water access, and very affluent, very nice. A lot of money, nice cars, boats, golf courses, tennis, all that sort of thing.
Radley Horowitz was an only child. He had a very good education. He was a well-educated, very smart young man.
Growing up, most of the memories were happy with my parents, and we took a lot of trips. London when I was a little kid. We were in Italy at the Vatican about a week before the Pope was shot. Went to Hawaii, and they started building this ridiculously big house up in Asheville, North Carolina.
To all outward appearances, the Horwitz family had it all.
They had a very high standard of living. I think there was a Maserati. They had the North Carolina home. They're flying first class. All the accoutrements to what people perceive as success.
But now, the good life has come to a tragic end. Initially called in as a suicide, Florida police are finding more evidence that Lanny's death may have involved foul play.
There was a bullet hole in the towel that was draped over the shower door, and it had stippling, which would be gunpowder burns on the outside of the towel, which tells you that the gunshot was from the outside and not coming from the inside of the shower.
It was clear to them that this was not a suicide.
Now we need to find out who killed Lanny Horowitz.
Coming up, scandalous secrets are exposed.
It looked like it was more than just a business relationship.
And detectives question whether they're looking for more than one suspect.
10 shots had been fired. It could have been 2 shooters.
After finding evidence that Lanny Horowitz was murdered,
When I arrived, he rolled the body over, and we were able to get a better look at the wounds on his body.
Even though you couldn't tell how many times he'd been shot, it was clear and obvious to the police that he'd been shot more than once.
We noticed there were multiple bullet wounds on his right arm, on his torso.
the medical examiner transports the body for further examination, leaving detectives to determine how and why the shooting happened and who did this.
There were projectiles pretty much everywhere in the bathroom. They were in the shower on the floor. There were some in the walls. There were some in the bathtub.
It was determined that 10 shots had been fired, at least one of which is what set the glass shatter alarm off.
The revolver found near Lanny's body provides an important clue.
The gun didn't have enough capacity to have fired all the number of bullets that had been fired.
So if the person was to use the same weapon, they would have to remove the casings and reload that firearm.
Investigators question if this could point to a second murder weapon or something even more sinister.
It could have been 2 shooters. There was a search warrant obtained from a judge to be able to search the house thoroughly from top to bottom.
In total, we collected about 26 firearms from the home. We weren't expecting to find that many firearms in the house.
There was a firearm found in a locked safe, and in the attic, there was a very extensive, expensive collection of firearms.
Most of the weapons are safely locked away and have not been fired recently. But they find one that has.
Another officer did find another firearm on the dresser in the master bedroom that's connected to where the bathroom is.
The gun is also a revolver with 5 spent casings. Detectives send the 2 revolvers to a crime lab for ballistics testing and continue their search.
They examined the perimeter of the home and determined that all the windows and doors were secure, locked from the inside. So there was no evidence that somebody had broken in.
Now we have to think, is it somebody who was let in the house? Was it somebody in the house?
It would be obvious that they would want to know from Bradley Horowitz and Donna Horowitz what's been going on.
Officers first try talking to Donna.
She was sitting in the front passenger seat of a car in the driveway. She was in her pajamas. She had bare feet. She had her knees up to her chest and rocking back and forth.
She kept saying, "Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy." And she just kept saying that sitting in the car, "Oh boy." My mom refused to talk to anybody.
She's not really communicating. She doesn't want to give a statement. So all of these things could be suggestive of somebody who's in a state of shock from trauma.
Her son, Radley, seems more capable of answering their questions.
The detectives asked to talk to me in their car, and they were parked right in front of the house. We sat in the car for maybe like 20 minutes. It was, so what did you see?
I was sound asleep, and it was like pop, pop, and the alarm was going off, and I heard screaming. I was scared.
My pocket door, there's a little alcove, and it looks across the living room and front entrance. My parents' bedroom was on the other side.
What was your mom's demeanor? How was she acting?
She was screaming.
Was she saying anything, what happened, or what was going on?
She was distraught, and, I got her some water, and she calmed, down.
Through the bedroom door, he caught a glimpse of his father.
My father was laying on the floor facing away from me, and then he made that horrible gurgling noise, and I got out of there. I never went into the bathroom.
When asked why he didn't immediately call 911, Radley claims he was in shock, and the guards showed up before he had the chance.
He was very confused about what had happened and, obviously and understandably very upset.
Radley says he didn't see who shot his father, but wants to help investigators however he can.
I was trying to, cooperate with them. They asked if they could do a gunshot residue test on me. I'm like, okay. I'm like, let's do the test.
But when investigators ask him if he knows of any reason why someone might want to do this, he reveals his father wasn't exactly a saint.
There were allegations or accusations that Lanny developed an affair or a more than business relationship with his business partner.
My parents wound up getting divorced in, 2000, I think. After my parents divorced, my mom thought he'd been involved with Francine. But then when my mom and dad got back together, my mom finds out that my father's going to lunch with her, going to dinner with her.
He explained that Francine was an acquaintance, that she was actually in business with Mr. Horowitz.
My father kept telling her that she was just a business partner, but it looked like it was more than just a business relationship. There was a lot of sneaky stuff going on there with her.
So clearly, Radley also shed some light on that relationship. He was, shocked and disappointed that his dad was going to continue with this behavior, which clearly was upsetting to Donna Horowitz.
He brought me something to sign, some legal stuff. And I'm like, what's this? And he goes, oh, I'm just doing something with the life insurance. Just sign that. So I sign it, and I found out later, I signed over $200,000 of his life insurance money to Francine.
That tells me that there's motivation there.
After learning of Lanny Horowitz's possible affair, detectives need to have conversations with the women in his life.
Our goal was, if one of them would agree to talk to us, we would let them tell us what happened. Donna Horowitz got an attorney right away, and we were informed by the attorney that she would not be speaking with us.
Thankfully, Radley knows where they can find Francine.
Francine lived right down the street, so she was in the same development.
Detectives pay her a visit and deliver news of Lanny's murder.
She was very distraught, very emotionally upset, almost in shock.
Okay. Obviously, we've been explaining to you that Lanny, who you know, has been found dead. Okay. How old is he? Well, we'll explain all that to you, but we'd like to ask you a few questions first.
Francine says she and Lanny were supposed to be leaving that morning on a business trip to North Carolina.
We couldn't wait. Okay. He had planned this whole entire week of such fun at the Grove Park Inn.
To investigators, it sounds like more than just business, which seems to confirm Radley's suspicions.
Okay. If you don't mind my asking just a personal question, are you
This is never.
Okay. So you're just friends?
Yeah, I'm best friend.
She found him to be very near and dear to her heart. She indicated, though, that Mr. Horowitz had deeper feelings for her than she was ready for at that time. She admitted that Mr. Horowitz had asked her to marry him, but she had declined that offer because, as she explained it, she was recently divorced and wasn't ready to move on.
Well, we were told that you and he had a relationship.
Oh, by her?
But that's not.
When they ask Francine about the life insurance policy, she says she didn't expect anything from Lanny.
Do you know who his beneficiary is on his will?
He said to me, Fran, I took care of you. I said, what? He said, I'm not going to laugh. Is there going to be a penny? Joking, Nicole.
Right.
And he goes, you'll see. Joking. Always joking.
Police did ask Francine where she had been around 7 a.m. She was able to fairly readily prove to them that she'd gotten up and was packing and getting ready to pick him up at 8. Clearly, she was very distraught about what had happened to him. And, you know, they were confident that Francine didn't have anything to do with this.
According to Francine, investigators should be looking at Lanny's wife, Donna Horowitz.
Francine told police that Donna Horowitz and Lanny Horowitz had been married, divorced. And there was discontent and arguments and a volatile kind of a relationship.
Francine tells investigators Lanny recently hit a breaking point and asked Donna to move out.
Francine told police that Lanny Horowitz had confided in her that he was afraid of Donna. According to Francine, she had said to Lanny Horowitz, you need to hide your guns.
When they ask her about Radley Horowitz, she has a similar response.
Is he your son?
We don't know. That's what we're trying to find out.
He's not a trophy son.
Okay.
Just a baby.
Right.
He said to me, if anything happens to me, promise me that you will fight to the end to see that I get justice.
Based on Francine's interview, Donna and Radley could both have motive. And when the autopsy results come in, they point to a crime of passion.
It was concluded that there were 9 bullet wounds, including one to the mouth.
The last shot in the mouth is overkill. That's an emotional reaction. That's a reaction that usually comes with anger or rage.
So police talked to the alarm company. In this case, in looking at the display panel of the alarm, no door had been opened prior to the 911 call.
There were only 2 people that could be suspects, Donna and Radley. Either Radley did it, Donna did it, or they both did it together.
Coming up, detectives pit son against mother.
Based on what you told us about the morning, it just seems like there's still something missing here.
But their suspects both refuse to crack.
He said, all I can tell you is there were only 2 of us in the house, and I didn't do it.
It's been 6 days since the brutal murder of Lanny Horowitz. And after speaking with Francine, investigators are determined to get answers. Radley Horowitz proves to be more cooperative than his mother.
His attorney arranged for him to arrive at the Jupiter Police Department for a videotaped and audio-taped interview with detectives.
let's go over again. You tell us in your words what happened that morning.
I just saw like my mom screaming and running like in and out of the bedroom.
Radley goes on to describe hearing a clicking noise, as if a gun was running out of ammo but still being triggered.
Was the gun still in her hand?
You know, I don't know, so I'm not going to say. I don't know.
Detectives suspect Radley is holding back, so they push harder.
Based on what you told us about the morning, it just seems like there's still something missing here. I just want to ask you, did you shoot your father? Or were you involved in any way?
Absolutely not. I did not shoot my father. I was not involved in any way. I was woken up to gunfire.
Radley would only ever tell us, all I can tell you is there were only 2 of us in the house and I didn't do it.
Despite his insistence, Radley does admit his relationship with his father was rocky at times.
I remember them asking me if my dad was abusive, and I said only mentally. I used the term needling at the time. I thought that he could push your buttons.
The source of their conflict was connected to Radley's past legal problems.
My parents got me into guns when I was younger, and I really took to it. So I decided to get an FFL license, federal firearms license, and start a little gun business.
So we wanted to, at one point, buy an accessory that would transform a gun, you know, that was not an automatic into an automatic weapon, and didn't know if it was legal or not.
I showed it to my dad. I'm like, oh my God, look what these guys are selling online, this thing. And he says, just order it. And he's the smart one. He's the lawyer.
According to Radley, he said, I followed his advice and I bought it. Well, of course, the ATF, in short order, arrested Radley for purchasing that equipment.
As a result of that arrest, Radley's vehicle was confiscated and he was sentenced to federal prison.
I got 5 months down in a minimum security camp in Miami.
Because of the firearms conviction, Radley Horowitz was forbidden by law to ever possess a gun. He couldn't have his shop, and he largely blamed his father for that.
That was a huge, huge part of my life that was taken from me.
Radley has just confirmed his own potential motive for killing Lanny.
Radley was a suspect. I mean, there's no 2 ways about it. Again, 3 people in the home, 1's dead.
We knew at the conclusion of his statement, we wanted to go back to the house and see if anything was in there that was corroborative of what he was talking about. When he told us he went to his door and could look and see into the living room from there, could he really? So we went and looked ourselves to see that, yeah, you could see into the living room. And so it corroborated that he could see what he said he saw.
During Radley's interview, he also said after the shooting, he brought his mother a bottle of water to calm down.
Where'd the bottle of water go? We checked in the bathroom where Lanny Horowitz lay on the ground. There was a single water bottle on the sink right above his head. So we collected that water bottle to be processed for DNA. We're basically able to corroborate just about anything and everything that Radley Horowitz told us.
The detectives got the results back from Radley's GSR test, which was negative.
They didn't do it on my mom because she asked for a lawyer first.
Those results and Donna's continued refusal to speak with them
Actually was Donna, and we need to prove it.
Donna Horowitz has become the prime suspect in her husband's murder. But since she refuses to talk, detectives must find another way to get answers.
While I was processing the water bottle for DNA, Detectives found Donna's journal.
In her walk-in closet were lingerie drawers and small item drawers like that. And in one of those drawers was the book. It was an actual diary that dated back for quite a little bit.
Donna's diary reveals the Horowitz's lavish lifestyle to be nothing but a mirage.
Lanny Horowitz was upside down on the house. He was in dire need of money.
The most recent entries are about Donna's attempts to put her troubled marriage back together.
Beginning in January of 2011, the entries are just about daily, and they're very lengthy and very detailed. The diary was really black and white evidence in Donna's own words.
You really see the inner workings of her thoughts about this was the script that she had set in her mind for a happy life for both herself and Lanny.
It depicted a woman in Donna who desperately wants a family, but then we see her getting lost in her own self, her own mind. The diary starts to, he doesn't come home again. He's with Francine. He's this. And the reality of how Lanny's treating her happens.
Detectives learned that in the spring of 2011, while the couple were divorced and living apart, Lanny asked her to secure a $200,000 loan from her parents.
He shared with her that if she could borrow this amount of money, they could move in together again. Donna believed together, if we can get this $200,000, we can get married again, we can be a family again.
But after Donna gets that money from her parents, she discovers Lanny isn't as invested in saving their marriage.
He would say, I'll be home at 5 o'clock and we have dinner. And, you know, he would share with her, oh, Francine and I had to go to a business dinner. We got tied up.
She'd written in there about, it was my birthday and we had hot dogs for the grill, but he took her to Three Forks on her birthday, which is a very nice steakhouse.
According to her diary, Lanny told her, if I had known that Francine felt about me the way that I do now, I would never have asked you to move back in the house. I think that that was the turning point.
After that, her diary entries take a darker turn.
Donna becomes more and more aware of all the pieces of the puzzle that spell a different reality than the one that she's forecasted for herself and her family.
Donna couldn't even lie to herself anymore. She knew she got taken. And here she had gotten $200,000 from her mom, and what a fool she must have felt like.
You see Donna's words getting worse and worse and worse and rising in intensity through the diary to the explosion that is the homicide.
The last entry prior to the shooting, I think, was a week or two earlier, which was totally also telling because it'd been every day, and then it got fewer and fewer, and then just before the killing, there's nothing.
My father pushed her and pushed her and pushed her, and she snapped.
The diary, combined with the evidence collected from the house, gives detectives a clearer picture of how the shooting took place.
On the day before this crime occurred, he had plans on leaving for a couple of days to North Carolina with Francine. Matter of fact, he had his bags packed.
And he told her that he wanted her out of the house by the time he got back.
Now he wants to break up the family. Now he's very much made a definitive statement about, not only am I doing this, but I want you out of my life. So hope to connect together with him disappears at that point.
If she couldn't have Lanny, no one was going to have Lanny. And she taught him a lesson. She just reacted with that firearm. Both firearms.
Ballistics confirm that after emptying all 5 rounds in the first revolver, Donna retrieved a second pistol from the bedroom and emptied that one too.
The total number of gunshots is clearly indicative of first-degree murder. That's somebody that clearly intends that the target of their shooting, they want them dead.
That was not a defensive shooting, a protect myself shooting. That was, you MFer, how could you do this to us?
On October 6, 2011, 1 week after Lanny's death, Donna Horwitz is arrested.
The hardest part of this entire case was trying to present the evidence in a methodical, logical, sequential form that a jury using common sense would come to the right decision. And we wanted to make sure we got it right.
In January 2013, Donna Horwitz stands trial for first-degree murder. Prosecutors paint her as a woman pushed to the brink by her husband's betrayal.
This was a jilted woman. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
We basically felt that a jury using its common sense would come to that same conclusion, that this is a classic case of love and revenge.
I remember Alethea McRoberts saying about that because the last shot was into his mouth, and that she said that you could tell it was a very vengeful, spiteful thing.
She may have just had enough with him speaking ill and silenced him.
Any bit of sympathy that I had left for my mom was gone when I saw those colored pictures of the worst thing I've ever seen.
The defense ultimately decides to claim Donna was innocent and points the finger at someone else.
They argued that it was Radley that did it.
My mom's lawyer said, I resented my father, and, either that I did it myself or that I hired a hitman.
That's terrible. Like, you talk about not winning Mom of the Year. That's not Mom of the Year. Knew it was a bad defense.
He was living for free in a very nice house in Admiral's Cove, with his dad. He had nothing to gain by hurting his dad.
The prosecution argues that the only thing less likely than Radley shooting his father is him hiring someone else to do it for him.
From our perspective, it didn't make a lot of sense. That was foolish to suggest that you pay good money, a lot of money to hire a professional hitman, and they don't bring their own gun. And there was no evidence of a third person. By checking with the alarm company, there had been no ingress or egress through a door prior to the glass shatter.
On January 17, 2013, the jury is left to consider its verdict.
After about 2 hours of deliberation, they found her guilty as charged of first-degree murder with a firearm, and she was thereafter sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Donna immediately appeals her conviction.
At the very, very end of the trial, the last seconds of the trial, the assistant prosecutor got up there and said, oh, by the way, she refused to talk to the police that morning, so,
You can't comment on a defendant's right to remain silent. That's a constitutional issue.
Approximately 2 years after the conviction and sentence, the appellate court felt that was significant enough to reverse the case for a new trial. The retrial, the strategy didn't change. We just went forward and retried the case again, almost identical to the first time.
4 years after Donna's first conviction, she is found guilty again.
She got a 32-year sentence, which is effectively a life sentence.
I do think justice was served. It's tragic that she was so heartbroken, but you just can't go and kill the person that broke your heart.
for mom to kill the father and then to blame your son. Donna will have to reconcile her life when Judgment Day comes for her, and I don't believe it'll be pretty for a person like her.
Even though she tried to blame me, I was very sympathetic still to my mom until I saw the pictures of my dad, morgue autopsy pictures. That was the end of any sympathy for my mom there. When I say I miss my parents, I miss, when I was growing up, when things were good. But, I don't miss the people that they became at all. What my parents did to me, I'm still here and they're not. And I sleep just fine at night.
A woman survives an assault in the New Mexico desert.
What's going on over there?
I ran into a girl. She's just wearing her underwear and a pair of socks.
They found a male, and he was unresponsive.
She had stabbed a man who was trying to rape her.
The crime scene contains clues of something even more disturbing and more than one suspect.
They noticed that there was a man that kept peering up over the rocks and looking down.
The weapon was a so-called ceremonial dagger.
It looked like it had some Egyptian markings, more of a fantasy thing.
There is what appears to be almost overkill. What the hell is going on here?
And when investigators uncover the truth, it leads them to a killer driven by dark obsessions.
She had 2 different social media accounts. One of those referenced satanic worship.
She just became all consumed and obsessed with the occult.
The closer I got, the more hysterical she was panicking about something.
I don't care how tough and crusty of an investigator you are. That's chilling to the bone.
It's March 22nd, 2010, in the foothills outside Albuquerque, New Mexico. Spring is in the air, and hikers are enjoying one of the most popular locations in the area, the Copper Trailhead.
Albuquerque is this amazing desert oasis.
To just go to get away and find a little peace and solitude.
But a little before 6 p.m., the serenity is shattered by a disturbing discovery.
Albuquerque 911. What's the address to your emergency? It's actually up in the open space off of Copper.
What's going on over there?
I ran into a girl. She's just wearing her underwear and a pair of socks. She said that she had been raped.
We get the call of a woman that is in the foothills that one of the witnesses came upon, and they immediately dispatch officers.
Before police arrive, bystanders have retrieved the woman's clothes from the scene of the crime. Police find the woman further up the trail near an encampment. She identifies herself as 30-year-old Angela Sanford.
The witnesses described that she had been wearing a bikini top, underwear, and socks, and had blood. She claimed that she had been raped and that the person was close by.
Angela doesn't offer further details on the state of her attacker, but the witnesses say that the male is laying unconscious up the trail. After making sure Angela is safe, officers leave her to be treated by paramedics and begin searching the area.
One of the men who was a witness pointed out to where the person who did it was at, and it was up the trail a little, a distance.
Officers found a male laying kind of in the kneeling, praying position almost, with his pants a little undone, and he was unresponsive. Per protocol and for officer safety, he was handcuffed, and then they rolled him over onto his back, and that's when they saw all the stab wounds. He had stab wounds on his chest, and it looked like on his face and in his neck as well. Paramedics were called out to the scene, and they were the ones that actually pronounced him as deceased. He had a wallet on him, and we identified the deceased person that we had in custody as 50-year-old Joe Leyva from Albuquerque.
Detectives and the assigned prosecutor are called to the puzzling scene.
As soon as I arrived, one of the detectives told me that it was their understanding that a woman had stabbed a man who was trying to rape her. Myself and the detectives went up to the crime scene to do a walkthrough. And the first thing you see, of course, is the decedent right there on the ground, handcuffed behind his back. There was a rope on the ground to the right. There was also a dagger on the ground. In the area, there are some people who are just walking through, doing their normal hiking. There are a few witnesses who are standing around waiting to be talked to, including Miss Sanford.
They kept the witnesses there at the scene and started interviewing them immediately.
But to seasoned detectives, the crime scene simply doesn't add up.
Her story was confusing. The whole thing was bizarre. I have a woman that claims that she was raped. She has blood on her. And this man has been stabbed numerous times. And there is what appears to be almost overkill. It doesn't fit an act of self-defense. What the hell is going on here?
The officers told my mother early in the a.m. that my father had passed. I remember just breaking down, falling to my knees. We didn't even know what happened.
Joel Leyva was born on June 13, 1957, in Española, New Mexico. He was one of 3 brothers raised in a religious household.
Faith has always been a big part of our family. We didn't get to go out much. We were ministers' kids, pastors' kids. Well, I had 2 older brothers, Joel, and then my older brother, Amos. Amos ended up going to Bible college. Joel was about the same time getting ready to go into the military.
In 1976, my father felt like he had a calling to serve his country, so he decided to join the Marine Corps, and he was enlisted, and he was in there for 4 years.
After his time in the Marines, Joel returned to New Mexico, where he fell in love with a local girl named Betty Lujan.
My father and my mother were a best man, and they made up honor at their family members' wedding. And they kind of they sparked. And they got together and fell in love, and the rest is history, I guess. My parents got married in the early 80s. My mother worked at the courthouse, retired from the state of New Mexico. My father was in logistics, shipping and receiving.
Joel and Betty had 2 children together and spent the next 3 decades enjoying family, friends, and the fruits of their labor.
My parents had a great relationship, always laughing, always, having a good time. There was, always jokes and stuff in the house. We did everything together.
He was a people person, It didn't take long to make a friend. He just friendly to everybody, treated everybody fairly.
My father would definitely help anybody he saw in need of any kind of help. We didn't have much growing up, but he would give his shirt off his back to help somebody.
By 2010, The children had grown up and started families of their own.
The last time I saw my dad, we were just hanging out and having a good time, and it was just like another day for us. I remember walking out the door, and I looked back and I saw him sitting at the table. Little did I know that I was never going to see him again.
Now, Joelle has been found stabbed to death in the New Mexico foothills, and police have been told it was the result of an attempted sexual assault.
Witnesses had initially said that when they came across Angela for the first time, she was wearing blue bikini top, panties, socks, and like a long stocking with holes cut in it to use as a glove. She had blood on her right thigh, and she had blood on her cheek as well.
She said she had gotten on top of him and then stabbed him and ran away. Everything seemed to generally make sense.
Since Angela is too distraught to provide police with more details, officers prepare to take her in for a routine assault examination. But as Angela is removed from the scene, one of the witnesses surprises them with another detail.
They were told from witnesses that there was a possible second suspect. She described him as a 30 or 40-year-old Caucasian male. He was still out there.
Some of the hikers who found Angela direct police to an area near the crime scene.
The witnesses were saying that they noticed up above them on this pretty steep incline, they noticed that there was a man that kept peering up over the rocks and looking down.
They were directed to the boulders above the scene, and that's where officers spotted the second possible suspect. One of the officers withdrew her handgun, pointed it up at the rocks, told him to come down. He complied, he came down, they handcuffed him, and then dragged him out of the scene as well.
The man identifies himself as John Epler and is brought in for further questioning.
We did not have Joel's side of the story. At this point, we could only accept what Angela told us. But I was treating her as a potential homicide suspect.
Coming up, police question a suspect.
I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna figure out I'm innocent.
And Angela's story begins to unravel.
When she started becoming super defensive, that told me something was just...
As investigators attempt to piece together an alleged attack that left one man dead, they must interrogate the other living suspect. Before questioning John Epler, detectives further examine the scene and almost immediately notice something that strikes them as odd.
The weapon used to kill Mr. Leyva was a so-called ceremonial dagger.
I found it to be rather fantastical. It looked like it had some Egyptian markings, more of a fantasy thing, more of the type of thing you would display.
For hiking, it was a little strange, but if she's trying to defend herself, yeah, she would use any weapon that she'd find.
I'm asking her, why are you bringing a dagger that you describe as a ceremonial dagger with you? It just didn't add up.
The ornate dagger isn't the only strange piece of evidence they find.
One of the witnesses actually took Angela back so that she could retrieve her clothes. They said when he went to the scene, Angela's clothes were neatly folded, which is kind of unusual.
The fact that her clothes were nicely folded instead of just thrown off like you would think would have happened in something like a rape. that didn't make sense.
While Angela is sent to be inspected by the sexual assault nurse examiners, detectives head to the police station to question their surviving suspect.
Going into the interview with Mr. Epler, I needed to find if he had any involvement in this whatsoever. Mr. Epler stated that he did not know Joel, he did not know Angela, and that he didn't witness any of what was going on.
Right away, I'm thinking, okay, these are smart people. They're going to know I didn't. They're going to figure this out right away. They're going to know I'm innocent, you know. They're going to figure out I'm innocent. I had a hard day at work, and I decided to relieve some stress and go up to the mountains. And I was just trying to get rid of some energy and wear myself out and be tired so I could sleep. So I wasn't there to walk on the trails. I was there to go up a really difficult ravine. And so I'm cutting across the mesa, and I notice there's a girl out there off the beaten trails. At the time, the very first thing that came to my mind was a vulnerable female shouldn't be in an isolated area. The closer I got, the more hysterical she was. You could tell she was panicking about something.
Epler says he didn't want to scare the woman, so he kept hiking.
I was probably up there a couple hours at least. On my way down, I get to this kind of a flat area with this big boulder in front of me. And I look over the boulder and I see a bunch of police officers walking the area. And the very first thing that goes through my mind is, you're going to go to jail. So then my mind says, well, you didn't do anything. What would you go to jail for? I didn't do anything. So I pick my head up over the edge and I look down, and there's a police officer down there, and he looks at me and he says, and he yells at me, hey, get down here. And I said, what's going on? What is going on? And he said, we're going to find out.
When they ask him why he thought he was going to jail, he gives them an innocent explanation.
I said, hey, I have a confession to make. I got a marijuana pipe in my pocket. So at that point, they bring in these people and they say, we're going to take a DNA sample. And I said, yes, please do. I want you to take a DNA sample. This will prove my innocence.
At this point, we had no evidence to suggest that John Epler was involved in the alleged rape or raping of Angela Sanford. The impression I got is that he's more of a reluctant witness to this, so he was released without charges.
Now, detectives need to speak with Angela about the misidentified alleged attacker.
Somebody who's gone through something that traumatic, we don't want to not believe them, but I got a call from the detectives. They told me that they had concerns about her story.
It's really common for survivors of rape, sexual assault to not remember everything at first, to misremember things, report things, several days or weeks later as they're processing the trauma that occurred.
We have sexual assault nurse examiners that are trained in the forensic collection of evidence for women who are the victims of sexual violence. And Ms. Stanford was taken to be examined. After she was examined, the case agent had an opportunity then to sit down with her.
My initial interview with Angela, the first time I actually talked to her, was at the police station. I believe it was a little after midnight. Angela was displaying signs of being distraught, still distraught.
She starts by saying this was not a random attack. She knew Joel Leyva.
She said that she had contact with him, inviting him to go celebrate the Wiccan holiday up in the foothills. Joel agreed to go up with her.
Miss Sanford said that she had been in the area celebrating the Wiccan holiday of Beltane. And immediately I knew that wasn't true.
Angela Sanford has just revealed to investigators that she invited Joel Leyva to the mountains that day to celebrate a Wiccan ceremony. Detectives have her start from the beginning.
Angela tells us that she had met Joel at the casino a couple days before. She was unemployed. She was looking for a possible job. Joel said he could possibly offer him if she had a resume. They ended up exchanging phone numbers. Then they left the casino. A couple days later, they were texting each other back and forth.
My dad was always meeting new people, always trying to help people out, be that, open ear.
They struck up a relationship, and through phone calls and text messages, she invited him to participate in this Wiccan holiday.
Angela explains that she's a follower of Wicca, a pagan religion whose practitioners are often referred to as witches.
I have never had an incident involving anyone who called themselves a Wiccan witch.
On the 22nd of March, Angela states that Joel called her to check in.
Angela had stated that she was going up to do a Wiccan ceremony up at the foothills and asked him if he wanted to come along.
According to Angela, the ceremony was meant to celebrate a Gaelic holiday known as Beltane.
She claims that she felt it was going to be a time where maybe she could convert him to her faith.
The communication between the two of them only started a few days prior, but they had set up to meet in this particular area.
She said her boyfriend dropped her off at the trailhead.
Joel arrives shortly thereafter and is walking behind her. The two of them had drinks.
Angela says the hike started out innocently enough, but once they got deeper into the wilderness, things took a turn.
She stated that she veered off to the site where she was going to hold the ceremony. They're off the trail now, east of the trailhead, kind of behind some boulders where even if you were walking on the trailhead, you would not have been able to see them at all.
Her account is she gets up to use the restroom and he starts asking, "Can I watch?" And she says, no, and kind of goes and pulls down her pants, and then he comes up behind her. She claims that he then starts fondling her.
She had a rope around her, a ceremonial rope around her waist that she said that he removed and tried to tie her hands with behind her back. But apparently he tied it loose.
Although she'd managed to free herself from the rope, Angela didn't think she could escape without Joel hurting her.
She's talking about how Joel takes this dagger that she had kind of out of her pocket. He's using it kind of against her.
So in cases of sexual assault, common reactions are going to be fawning, which is, kind of trying to make nice with the assailant, sort of just trying to do whatever you can to stay alive.
She said that she grabs the dagger and as an effort to get away, stabbed him about 3 or 4 times and then ran.
As Angela tells this story of her harrowing escape, investigators compare it to what witnesses described at the scene. And there's one detail that just doesn't line up.
She's talking about how she makes this split-second decision, and then she goes off running.
Her clothes were nicely folded and set to the side. Typically, in a rape situation, there's not going to be time for somebody to nicely, neatly fold their clothes.
And to seasoned detectives, the way Angela tells the story is another cause for concern.
Angela was not forthcoming with a lot of details. When she started becoming super defensive and then shut down the interview herself, that told me something was that's definitely wrong with this picture.
Coming up, police make an unsettling discovery.
She would post about vampires, dark beings.
And the real reason for Angela and Joelle's wilderness trip is revealed.
All kinds of bells went off at that point. Why would she list them as sacrifice unless that was her actual intent?
After their troubling interview with Angela Sanford, investigators are questioning whether there's more to her wilderness trip with Joelle Leyva than she's willing to share. But they want to tread carefully.
We want to make sure if this person was actually being raped, that we're treating them with respect and courtesy. And we more especially don't want to re-traumatize them.
They begin with an analysis of her sexual assault examination.
Through that examination, they did not find evidence that there was sexual intercourse, and they did not find anything that they believed would be consistent with sexual violence.
No evidence of defensive marks, bruising, or scrapes of anything other than some abrasions, mild abrasions on her knees.
There was nothing. No rope burns, no semen, no anything that would corroborate any belief that she had been sexually assaulted.
To hear those allegations against my father that he could have committed something like that was, I didn't believe it. I was like, there's no way. That's not who he was.
The fact that there was not only no evidence of an actual rape, but no real evidence of an attempted rape, that obviously is a problem for Miss Sanford's story.
The autopsy on Joelle Leyva also disputes some of Angela's claims.
She had said that she had stabbed him about 3 times and then run away. And he was stabbed well over 20 times.
That many stab wounds indicated it was personal. It wasn't defensive in my experience.
When Joelle's loved ones are informed of the circumstances of his death, they find it even harder to believe.
We had so many questions and we just didn't have any answers. A very, very emotional time. Hearing those stories come out and reading about those stories, it just, it was not him.
And the family made it very, very clear that there's no way that he would have gone to practice this Wiccan, witchcraft, pagan holiday. He was a practicing Catholic who was very committed to his faith.
Hearing the word wicked, that was a shock. I remember them asking something about if he practiced it, anything like that. Obviously, he didn't.
He was very well loved by his family. He was married, a large family. He was a very religious man.
The family insists Joelle would never harm another person, let alone commit sexual assault.
When I first heard that she was claiming that he would raped her, Joelle would never rape a woman.
My father, very open, very friendly, very giving. My dad always told us never lay your hands on a woman. I know he believed that, and I know he lived by that. So hearing all that, it made us even more angry.
Still, investigators question why Angela would make up such an elaborate and unusual account. A background check provides some alarming answers.
Angela Sanford, in 1999, had made an allegation of rape. She claimed that she went willingly with 2 guys to a motel. There they did some illegal drugs and she ended up being raped at gunpoint.
But she didn't want to move forward in that case, it seemed. She didn't really have the response to the investigators that they were looking for. She kind of skipped out on the scheduled interview time, and so the case was dropped.
It takes a lot for people to come forward, victims, and disclose that they've been sexually assaulted. So it is possible that it was a legitimate complaint.
To gain insight into Angela's history, officers obtain the contact information for her boyfriend and request that he come to the station for an interview.
He stated that he did drop her off at the trailhead, and she had told him come back in about an hour. So in about an hour, he called. She didn't answer. He called again, didn't answer. So he assumed that she was ignoring him or that she had just turned off the phone.
But according to Angela's boyfriend, the reason she gave for going on the trip is dubious at best.
He told us that she was not a Wiccan witch, that she was a Wiccan wannabe.
Miss Sanford was born and raised here in Albuquerque.
She was born into a family where there was considerable dysfunction, and she described her relationship with her father as one of fear and hatred.
At 19, Angela moved to Illinois with her boyfriend at the time, and they both were into the alternative religions, the occult, and paganism. She sort of began to lean more into the occult, which could possibly have just been a way to escape. That wasn't solely pagan or solely Wiccan. She would go into the woods alone with books, candles, other things to do, rituals that she felt were, aligned into these beliefs. She was making her own kind of conglomerate of a religion.
It almost felt like you didn't want to tread too far down because you weren't really sure what you were going to find out and if you wanted to know.
After that, I had my doubts about Angela's story.
Investigators have just gained insight into Angela Sanford's complicated history and obsession with dark magic. Despite her past, Angela's boyfriend says he doesn't believe she's capable of such a brutal crime.
He defended Miss Sanford vigorously, that there is no way that she would have done this, that he completely supported her story.
The boyfriend was kind of this crux piece that gave you an insight to who she was in the days leading up to this and what she's watching, what she's indulging in, and how that led to this very real situation.
When investigators take a look at Angela Sanford's online alter ego, they find evidence of a deeply troubled woman.
She had 2 different social media accounts, one of those being a MySpace account, I believe at the time, and that had a lot more of like pentagrams and things that really referenced more of a satanic lifestyle, a satanic worship.
Angela was very active on her social media. She would post about vampires, dark beings. She also was very interested in serial killers and the notoriety that they would gain from their crimes.
Sometimes when you have somebody who really gets enthralled with serial killers, enthralled with the idea of murder, they start fantasizing about murder.
Detectives are unfamiliar with any of the rituals and beliefs Angela was practicing, so they reach out to local experts.
I called the local coven, and I ended up speaking to them, and they ended up telling me that Beltane usually occurs in May, not in March when this incident occurred.
Detectives subpoena Angela's phone records to see for themselves what Angela and Joelle discussed.
Angela says they meet at the casino, right? And kind of just spark up a conversation, agree to kind of meet again. she started to claim that he was the one who reached out. And it wasn't until the phone records came back that detectives realized, no, she called him. She told him, I want to see you, and let's get together.
But it's clear the invitation had nothing to do with convincing Joelle to convert.
When I finally found his contact in her phone, she didn't list him as Joel Leyva or just Joel. She listed him as Sacrifice. All kinds of bells went off at that point. She told us that she was there for a Wiccan ceremony. Why would she list him as Sacrifice? Unless that was her actual intent in meeting Joel in the first place.
The revelation confirms investigators' worst suspicions.
The fact that she listed him as Sacrifice, the fact that she lured him to a spot where nobody could see them, all led me to believe that she had intentionally planned this out to kill Joel as part of her so-called Wiccan celebration. Motive answers why. The only person that could answer that one is Angela herself, okay? She's the only one that could tell us why she did what she did.
On March 24th, 2 days after Joelle's death, Angela is arrested.
It was disturbing and made me, frankly, feel better as we were about to go to a grand jury to say, this is a predetermined first-degree murder, and that she needed to be charged for it.
Despite the evidence against Angela, prosecutors still fear a jury might sympathize with her.
This is a woman that has had a history of relationships with abusive men.
If she was able to convince one or more jurors that what she had initially said was true, then she could have certainly hung a jury, and then the murderer potentially goes free.
Following Angela Sanford's arrest, word of the disturbing case spreads quickly through the town of Albuquerque. But not everyone is pleased by the publicity.
There was a lot of concern from people in the Wiccan community that we were trying to paint the Wiccan community as somebody who would be into committing murder as a part of a ceremony and things like that. And so from the very beginning, we tried to be very clear that we didn't believe that this was truly a Wiccan ceremony.
I learned that Wiccans don't sacrifice. Beltane was about celebrating the earth, the renewal of the earth.
It's a very generally nature-based religion, a very peaceful religion.
Prosecutors believe Angela's twisted interpretation of the rituals were a pretense for murder.
What would drive this woman to take this victim, this man that she met at a casino, and lure him basically to the mountains and murder him in cold blood? Clearly, in my mind, she targeted him.
And this identity was her compensatory mechanism of having power as a solution for her early life where she felt she didn't have any.
Jonathan told us, he wanted to do the plea deal because you never know what could happen in a trial. Ultimately, we agreed to it.
We decided to offer a second-degree murder that was aggravated. We wanted the guarantee of a conviction.
Angela accepts the plea deal, and in December 2011, she appears in court for sentencing.
There was a bunch of us in the family that showed up in court, and that's when we all saw her for the first time. I know she looked at me because I looked a little bit like Joelle. So our eyes caught, she looked at me for a second, we just stared at each other. And I just stared at her like, took my brother, really?
Angela's lawyers ask for a reduced sentence, arguing that her perception of reality is impaired.
It didn't ever feel like she really was attuned to what was kind of happening around her. You almost got the sense from her that it's like she didn't understand where her fantasy ended and where reality began.
However, they are unable to produce any witnesses to support her.
I don't remember anybody coming to speak on her behalf to try to convince the judge to give her a lesser sentence. And ultimately, he didn't. He gave her the maximum sentence he was allowed to.
She doesn't give a statement. The information that we have is she felt like she had to sacrifice somebody. And regrettably, that person was Mr. Leyva.
As a family, 20 years is not enough for what she did, what she admitted to doing. Should have been life in prison and never see the light of day again.
This was somebody who lured somebody to this location to complete a human sacrifice. I don't care how tough and crusty of an investigator you are, that's chilling to the bone. I'd feel for the family of Mr. Leyva. They lost a good man.
Yeah, I miss you, Joel. I miss you, bro. I love you. I'll never forget you. All that's memories that I'll cherish and keep forever.
There's probably not a day that goes by I don't think of him. There's not a day that goes by I don't think about my dad. Riding in my truck to work. A song comes on the radio, and I know my dad loves this song, and I just feel the sense that he's with me.
A grisly crime scene is discovered in an abandoned trailer in small-town Texas.
You're immediately hit with the foul odor.
I saw a deceased male with his head and torso inside of a large green trash can.
It looked like someone had tried to possibly dispose of the body, but gave up.
The victim is a husband and father of 3. And with the rest of the family nowhere to be found, concerns grow.
There were toys, children's clothes thrown about everywhere. Somebody had left in a hurry. Where's the wife and where are the 3 children?
They were entered into TCIC as missing endangered people. We don't know if this is a potential burglary or robbery.
What unfolds is a homicide investigation with 5 potential victims. But when detectives track down their killer, they find the truth is more disturbing than anything they could have imagined.
She wanted to wipe him off the face of the earth.
She was purchasing items to cover up this crime, all while she had her child in tow.
She's a monster.
You might as well arrest me now, because I'm #1 on the list.
It's the kind of case that causes you to lose sleep at night.
It's a chilly winter day in Red Oak, Texas, when police receive a frantic emergency call. 54-year-old Susanna Asbill says she's outside her son's home with her husband Terry, and they think something terrible has happened.
They were concerned because they had not heard from their son, Marlon Wade Reese, or the daughter-in-law, Amy Reese, in 3 to 4 weeks.
On the 13th or 14th of October, I had this really bad nightmare. Like something had just was crushing my heart. I just knew it was Wade. My husband asked me what was wrong, and I said, it's a bad feeling. Wade was fixing to start a new job in Waxahachie, and I knew the job, they work people like, sometimes they work him 80, 90 hours a week. I thought, we know he's busy, he started his new job, I wasn't no concern or anything.
Susanna says when Thanksgiving came and went without any word from Wade or his wife Amy, she decided it was time to pay them a visit.
On December 4th, I looked at my husband and I said, I don't care what we're doing, we're getting in the vehicle and we're going to Red Oak. As soon as I drove up, I knew something was wrong. Wade's vehicle was parked backwards and it was just full of dirt, like it had not been moved. When I opened the mailbox, it just was bloated with mail. Terry says, well, let me go in the house and see what I can see. He said, you go ask the neighbors if they've seen anything. Got to the neighbor and I said, have you seen Wade or Amy? Have you seen anybody? And they said, no, we hadn't seen them in a while. And then he says, but we have been smelling something from coming that way. And about that time, I heard my husband holler. He said, what's the address here? And I gave him the address. And he says, just, you can't go in there. There's somebody dead in there. And I looked at him and I said, I know it's Wade.
Deputies and investigators quickly arrive and tell Susanna and Terry to wait outside while they search the home.
We entered the residence, which was a mobile home. You're immediately hit with a foul odor consistent with decomposition.
I could immediately see that someone had attempted to pack up the house. There was a TV missing from the wall where it had clearly been on an entertainment center.
There were toys, children's clothes, books, DVDs. It was definitely in disarray. Stuff thrown about everywhere. Somebody had left in a hurry.
In the primary bedroom, they find the source of the smell.
I saw a deceased male lying face down with his head and torso inside of a large green trash can. His feet were out of the trash can and coming through the doorway.
The feet are bound, the hands have been tied, there's a bag over its head. I've worked multiple homicides before this one, but this one was unique. It was shocking. It was apparent that their actions were to get the body completely in the trash can, like they were going to take the trash out.
He had skin slippage and marbling of his skin, which implied that he had been there for quite some time.
We're having multiple discussions about what could have happened, what went on. Is this Wade? Where's the wife? Has he been killed and they've been taken and now we have an abducted wife and abducted children? I want to start talking to people, witnesses, and trying to put the puzzle together.
The Red Oak police showed up and they taped it off, and I just knew it was Wade. I just knew in my heart it was him.
Marlon Wade Reese was born January 5th, 1976 in Las Cruces, New Mexico. He grew up in Northeast Texas, raised by his mother, Susanna.
We're like third and fourth generation Texans, so I love Texas. When we moved to Red Oak, we bought a piece of land and we bought a trailer. Wade was a really good little baby. When he started walking, that's when the fun really started, because he was getting into everything, bringing bugs in his pocket and trying to jump off of stuff, and he just thought he was a tough little guy.
Though his parents split up when he was 6 months old, Wade remained very close with his father.
We were too young. It just wasn't going to stay, and we decided to separate ways. But I had a very good relationship with Wade's father. From the age of 5, Wade used to spend the whole summer with his grandpa and his dad, and he would ride motorcycles like crazy. And as he grew and got bigger, his grandpa would buy Wade whatever he wanted. I got married again, and then I found out I was pregnant with Crystal, and Wade wasn't very excited about having another person, because he'd been almost 6 years, it was just, him and I.
My brother was a very good brother. He definitely protected me, and especially when I got older, there's a lot of boyfriends that he did not like, but growing up, man, we had lots of fun.
After dropping out of high school, Wade followed in his grandfather's footsteps by pursuing a passion for mechanics.
Wade was good at taking cars apart, motorcycles, and and he would build things. And he always had a job.
He had quite a few girlfriends. My brother was a worker. It was, let's get my stuff together so that I can go be a man.
He was looking for that right woman. Told him, I said, you may have to kiss a lot of frogs out there till you get that princess.
At the age of 32, Wade finally met his match on a dating website. A 33-year-old single mother named Amy Deaver.
Wade said he just met this nice lady in Fort Worth, and he'd been talking to her, and he just thought she was really cute. She had 2 children. Wade was really protective of them. They got along really well. They were very loving. They was always holding hands and kissing on the couch.
In 2008, Wade and Amy got married.
Wade was just ready to settle down. Wade thought he found the one, you know.
Wade called me and said, Mom, can you take Amy and buy her a dress? And I said, sure, I'll buy her a dress. So I took her, we went to Walmart, she picked out a really nice dress.
Not long after that, Wade had another wish fulfilled when Amy gave birth to their son.
Wade was very ecstatic. Wade knew, well, I got a motorcycle partner now. I've got somebody that can teach how to work on cars.
I really honestly feel like my whole brother's demeanor in life, like, went up a level, you know what I mean? Like, okay, this is it. I got my family, I got my son.
I was living in North Dallas, and I talked to my husband, and I said, the trailer house is empty. I'm just going to give it to Wade. Amy was very grateful. He was so happy.
I've never seen them argue, never, not once. Amy and Wade were just Amy and Wade.
But their happy home has become the scene of a grisly murder. And investigators are trying to determine what happened.
We don't know if this is a potential burglary or robbery or something that just went bad.
I immediately spoke with Terry and Susanna Asbill, and I learned that Amy was missing, the 3 children were missing, her van was missing along with their dogs.
You could hear jibber jabber from the police saying whoever was in there was something on top, and I thought, oh Lord, I thought they were going to find my grandson dead also.
Coming up, the crime scene provides several clues about the killer.
To abuse a body like that just shows an enormous lack of respect for human life.
And the autopsy reveals startling details.
The person stood up outside the bed in a downward manner, shooting while he was asleep.
Before the search for Amy and the children takes an unexpected turn.
The story just kept getting worse.
An unidentified body suspected to be Wade Reese has just been discovered decomposing in his family's mobile home. After securing the crime scene, Red Oak sheriffs put out an alert for Amy Reese and the children.
In the event that anybody were to come in contact with law enforcement, we would be notified. And they were entered into TCIC, NCIC as missing endangered people.
Homicide detectives then take over, scouring the trailer for any clues.
We were collecting blood, articles of evidence that we could use to compare with DNA that potentially could be left at the scene by the suspect.
His head was wrapped in a trash bag. He was bound using duct tape and rope by the legs. I felt like that the trash bag is probably concealing a manner of injury of some type.
I got the impression this was likely a gunshot wound, and the trash bag had been tied over the victim's head to contain the fluids that were actively coming out of his head.
I noted some blood splatter on the bed. I noted a void in the mattress. I ended up cutting that void open where I recovered a projectile that was a bullet.
Investigators aren't able to locate a murder weapon, but they do find empty shell casings, as well as evidence of a hasty cleanup.
There was smeared blood on the trash can and a dolly with blood smeared on it as well.
It looked like someone had tried to possibly dispose of the body, but gave up in the middle and just left.
He was a very tall man, and bodies are not easily movable. That's the reason they use the phrase dead weight.
To abuse a body like that, it just shows an enormous lack of concern or respect for human life.
We couldn't readily identify the body at the scene because of the advanced stages of decomposition.
Outside the home, investigators find another trash can by the curb.
Inside the trash can, we found several plastic or rubber gloves. We found the boxes for borax laundry detergent and carpet deodorizer. I was able to develop fingerprints on the packaging for a 3M respirator mask, which would have been used to block out any sort of decomposition odor. And I was able to find a fingerprint on a box of contractor trash bags.
Several of the gloves that were found, the duct tape, the mask, those items were submitted for DNA analysis.
It was a lucky break that the trash can had not been picked up and all of those items disposed of at that point, because 2 months had gone by.
The crime scene tells detectives this was no simple robbery attempt.
Somebody was trying to mask a scene, and it was apparent by what I was looking at when I was walking around the crime scene that it was quick. It was not well thought out.
When we went into some of the children's bedrooms, we could see that the closets had been cleared out. I saw several suitcases around the house that appeared to be partially packed up and left behind.
It wasn't a situation where somebody was looking to find something. Somebody was leaving in a hurry.
I'm working something like this and I find out there's children. My focus always is, where are the children? What's going on with the children?
Desperate for answers, investigators pull Amy and Wade's bank records.
We investigated the couple's finances and found pattern to a local storage facility in a nearby city. It was in Duncanville, Texas.
We executed a search warrant there, and we found several items of interest inside the storage unit. We found several trash bags that contained bedding that had been stripped from the bed at the house. We found several articles of clothing that had apparent blood on them. We found several firearms and things of that nature. One of the articles of clothing was a pair of camouflage cargo shorts that had blood stains on both sides and within the waistband of the shorts. We were actually shocked that these trash bags were in this storage unit. We did not think it was going to be that easy.
The shorts that were found could have been worn by a male or a female.
We believe that one of the pairs of shorts that we found in the trash bags belonged to our victim.
Detectives send the bloody pants out for testing. But they leave with more than just another piece of forensic evidence.
When we executed that search warrant and met with the storage facility personnel, we learned that Amy had come to the storage facility with the children. They didn't know what Amy was doing, but they watched the children while Amy was in and out of her storage building. Once we were able to put eyes on Amy and the children, we no longer believed Amy had been abducted.
24 hours into the investigation of the Reese family's disappearance, after speaking to an employee at their storage unit, police have just discovered that Amy and the children are alive. While detectives are working to track them down, they receive the autopsy report.
The doctor who performed the autopsy told us that because of the advanced stages of decomposition, they were going to have to take extra steps to identify them. Mrs. Asbill had relayed that Wade had a tattoo of a Texas Longhorn tattoo on his arm, I believe, and then a Yosemite Sam cartoon character on his chest. Later at the medical examiner's office, the doctor did note tattoos consistent with the description on the body.
Once we were able to get the identification of the decedent, Wade Reese, we continued our process of trying to figure out what happened. My focus immediately was where's the wife and where are the 3 children. The pathologist made the determination that Wade had been shot on the right side of the head, and that would have been the entry wound, and that the exit wound was right above the left ear. And he would have died instantly. With Wade laying on his side, we concluded that the person stood up outside the bed in a downward manner, shooting Wade while he was turned away from them, asleep.
The medical examiner also notes burns likely caused by sulfuric acid.
It had been thrown on Wade's face. Whoever did this thought they could take that chemical, and I feel like they were trying to dissolve the body, get rid of the body by the chemical eating away at the flesh.
The blood on the shorts found in the Reese's storage unit is confirmed to be Wade's. This, combined with the sighting of Amy and the children, causes detectives to consider Amy a suspect. They talk to Wade's loved ones to see if there's a motive.
Detective Fitzgerald called me, and he says, I'm coming to your house to talk to you. By that time, I'd already cried for 2 days straight. He showed up, and he confirmed it was Wade. I don't think I even cried, to be honest with you. And he said, you don't know any places that they would go. And the only thing I just knew was that Amy's mother lived down in Temple, Texas. She didn't have a very good relationship with her mother, but she still tried to go see her mother because Amy had a little sister.
Amy grew up in South Texas. She grew up in the foster care system. She was a habitual runaway, living with grandparents throughout her childhood. She had been in and out of different group homes.
Amy started at a young age getting in relationships with men.
I want to say the gentleman was probably 20, maybe 25 years older than her.
She had her first child together with this man. This man ultimately was arrested and convicted of sexual assault of a different child.
She directly went to a second relationship, didn't get married, but had another child.
According to Wade's family, he did his best to help Amy and her daughters heal from their traumatic experience.
Amy, she needed somebody that she could rely on, somebody that would nurture her. She didn't have that. She only had one of the little girls half the time. One of the girls went to her grandmother's on the weekend. He wanted to make sure that they knew that they could come to him and they didn't have to worry about anything happening to them, that he was like a safe place.
As far as Wade's mother is concerned, Amy had no reason at all to kill him. But Wade's sister recalls an incident that occurred several months before his death.
Wade and Amy got into a fight one night. Wade went outside and slept in his car in the yard that we had. Well, apparently Amy's daughter called the cops and it's like, my parents are fighting. And the cops showed up and drugged my brother out of his truck while he was asleep and arrested him.
We were able to determine that Amy had also been arrested for assaulting Wade.
We learned that the children had been removed from the home in 2009. But we also learned that they had worked those services and that the children were allowed to be reunited with Amy and Wade.
We were highly concerned for the children initially because we didn't know her status. We didn't know whether or not Miss Reese was involved.
All of the evidence, both circumstantial and physical, pointed towards Amy. It was just a matter of putting it all together.
Coming up, the search for Amy heats up.
Knowing that 2 months had gone by at this point, she could have been anywhere.
And when detectives find her, she makes a startling accusation.
It was abusive. For my daughters, it was getting physical and inappropriate.
So she's levying these accusations against Wade, when in fact, Child Protective Services took the children due to Amy, not her husband.
Days into the search, the unidentified body is now known to be Wade Reese. With the positive ID, detectives are even more intent on finding his wife and 3 children.
There was a teenage daughter and 2 littles. I knew that they had been enrolled in the local Red Oak Independent School District. I was able to talk to administrators and get some key information about the children being unenrolled. It was noted that there was a family emergency.
Records indicate Amy pulled the children out of school on October 15th.
At the scene, when we were going through the mail, it was dated the 16th of October. So the murder occurred right around the time that Amy took the kids out of school. I knew that our target was focusing on Amy.
Knowing that 2 months had gone by at this point, she could have been anywhere in the country or in the world.
Calls to Amy's cell phone are going straight to voicemail, and GPS data has been turned off. So police track her using a more antiquated method, the DMV.
I had our dispatch centers start running Amy's name throughout all 50 states, and they were able to get a hit of a Colorado driver's license.
When we found out that Amy was in Colorado, it told us a couple of things. It told us, one, she was okay. We didn't have any reason to believe that she fell victim to anybody. 2, we got pretty excited because we had a general area where we could look for her. We had found the address on her driver's license, and we reached out to the Denver Police Department, requested their assistance.
Denver police locate the children through enrollment information.
We learned that the children were okay. 1 child had been left with a family member. The other 2 children, we discovered they were okay. Denver police moved into their procedures and got their local Child Protective Services involved.
When Denver police report to the address listed, they are met by the residents who tell them Amy is not there.
We found out Amy had befriended and was living with the owner, and that owner was able to help her out to watch her kids while she went and looked for a job.
Police convinced the resident to call Amy and falsely tell her that the littlest child is out in the street and they need her to come home.
When Amy responds to the emergency call, she's taken into police custody.
Detective Castro is a part of Denver Police Homicide. He was asked to come in and help, and he met with Amy at headquarters.
My first priority is to, see if I could build a rapport with her. Amy was very responsive to my questions. She was cooperative. She didn't seem like a typical homicide suspect. What I learned from Amy during our interview was that she left Texas to get away from her husband.
Okay, why don't you tell me about that?
He was abusive.
What do you mean he's being abusive?
Emotional, verbal, and for the kids, for my daughters, it was getting physical and inappropriate.
They'd had previous fights where they were both arrested. She basically says that, the final straw on this was when Wade picked up her daughter and slammed her on the floor. She knew she had to get out of this relationship for her kids. She said they left on October 14th in the middle of the night. She took their white van.
That's the last time you saw him?
That was the last time I saw him. My daughters and my son, we snuck out of the house, got what we could get and snuck out.
She said that she returned the next day. She drove around the property a couple times, hoping that he wasn't there. She had to sneak into the house to get their belongings, and then she left. She traveled through Oklahoma, Kansas, and eventually settled here in Denver because she said she liked the area. She wanted to get a job, and she thought that she could come here and basically start a new life. Eventually, we come to a point where I had to ask her if she knew what happened to her husband, and she claimed that she didn't. Just told her, I was just on the phone with Ellis County sheriffs, and he's dead.
He was murdered.
Murdered?
Mm-hmm. Here you are, you're an abused wife. He's being mean to your kids, and you pick up and leave town. I think you did what you had to do to protect your kids. But did you have to do more?
No, I left. When he was sleeping, I left.
I tried to sympathize with her. There's a lot of women in your situation. I think people would understand. I'm trying to draw this out of her, try to get her to explain, why she did this.
To investigators, Amy's response is telling.
I want to go down for this regardless of about it. You might as well arrest me now, because I'm number one on the list.
Amy Reese's interview with Denver police raises further suspicions, but she ends it before they can probe any further about Wade's murder.
It doesn't matter even if I have an attorney, I'm gonna go down for this regardless if I did it or not. My life is over.
She ultimately requested an attorney to represent her, and she stopped the interview.
Obviously, we didn't get a confession where she said that she murdered Wade, but I think we narrowed down dates. I thought it was strange that, she left on October 14th, and then she had to sneak into the house on the 15th. As an investigator, when I'm hearing this, I'm thinking he's already dead at this point, and she's driving around the property making sure nobody's a witness there.
She told Detective Castro that she had gone back into the house and collected belongings. So she was implicating herself in the crime scene.
Amy is released for the time being, but Denver police keep her under surveillance while detectives continue their investigation, as well as request that she submit her electronic devices for review. When they ask Wade's family about the allegations of abuse, they vehemently deny them.
There was absolutely no proof that Wade had ever harmed any of those children. There was no indication that Wade had been anything other than a loving father.
I'd never seen him yell or get angry. 110% I knew my son would never do anything like that, never.
So she's levying these accusations against Wade when in fact Child Protective Services took the children from the home, and that was due to abuse and neglect by Amy, not her husband.
Investigators obtain a search warrant for Amy's electronic devices, and what they find suggests her reasons for leaving had nothing to do with the children.
When we had forensics go through her computers and phones, we found that she lived a life of deviant sexual acts.
Within days of Wade being dead, she was already on sexually explicit websites and chat rooms. She was sexting with men, sending them graphic photos of herself as if she knew that he was dead. So perhaps Amy was having an affair.
She was tired of Wade. She was ready to start a new life with somebody else. It was apparent with her deviant sexual texting that was going on.
It showed that Amy had no remorse, that she was able to leave her husband rotting in that trailer for 2 months, acting as if nothing was wrong.
But as suspicious as Amy's exploits might be, what detectives need is evidence tying her to the murder.
We discovered they were on government assistance, and that led us to Amy's WIC card. And when we ran a history on that, that's when we started to tie purchases that she had made.
Through looking at Amy's financials, we were able to locate receipts that indicated she had made purchases both at a Walmart local in Red Oak and then again at a nearby town of Waxahachie.
Investigators compare Amy's purchases to the cleaning supplies found in the Reese's garbage.
I met with the loss prevention folks at Walmart, and we immediately started running some of the barcodes that we had found at the scene. We were able to hone in to the surveillance of when those articles were purchased. We discovered that Amy was on camera. She had her daughter with her. And she's smart, halfway. She goes to the ATM, pulls cash out, and pays for it with cash. Some of the stuff in Red Oak she purchased with her WIC card.
Amy was purchasing items that she was using to cover up this crime, all while she had her child in tow.
When we discovered that she was on video with the trash can, we knew we had her.
Detectives get further confirmation when lab results come back on the fingerprints and DNA they collected.
We discovered Wade's blood along with Amy's fingerprint in a trash bag that contained Wade's blood, which is a direct link to the crime scene.
The latent fingerprints that were found that were confirmed to be Amy's, in addition to the absence of anybody else's prints or physical evidence, led us to get the arrest warrant on Amy.
Investigators are confident that Amy pulled the trigger. Now, prosecutors must convince a jury this mom turned murderer.
Regards to her childhood and how she came up, I don't know how it relates to why she did what she did. I felt that there was obvious tension in the house. For whatever reason, Amy was feeling pressure to get out of this relationship.
I think she was ready to move on to another man. She was tired of Wade and ready to move on. So she killed him. At this point, we are tying up loose ends, making sure we have all our evidence processed. That way the prosecutors have the best case that we can put together to bring justice to Wade's parents and family.
On January 20th, 2013, Amy Reese is extradited from Colorado to Texas, where she is charged with the murder of her husband, Wade Reese.
I stayed in contact with the family of Wade throughout this entire process. They were asking the same questions that we had. Why? Why did she do this? Why could something happen like this to their son?
The evidence we had against Amy was several DNA profiles. We had latent fingerprints. We had her on video purchasing the items that were used in her attempts to conceal or clean up the crime scene.
When her trial begins in April, Amy makes a surprising announcement.
Amy and her lawyer decided she would plead guilty. So the trial was to determine punishment.
I think she knew that the evidence was stacked up against her.
Rather than contesting the details of the murder, the defense makes an appeal to the jury for leniency.
What her attorney tried to do was show that Amy had a very difficult upbringing. When Amy was on the stand, she says that at about age 11, she began to be sexually abused. She was abused by her own father.
I think Amy was trying to put that out there to justify why she killed Wade. She said that he was molesting their children, and she discovered that, and so she killed him to protect her children. We had local advocacy centers in Denver forensically check the children, and we found no evidence to support that theory.
The prosecution argues that Amy's past trauma was not repeated in her life with Wade.
The fact that Amy is now accusing Wade of abuse, both physical, sexual abuse, it feels very convenient.
It seemed that she had a pattern of doing this. It seemed that this was just her way of getting what she wanted. We could see that she communicated with other men quite frequently in a sexual manner, so that could have been one of the motives that she had.
I also believe that she was already talking to other men and was trying to get out of the situation.
She didn't just shoot him. After she found out that she couldn't lift a dead body, that's when she went and got the stuff, the respirators, the gloves, and was going to put him in that trash can. She wanted to wipe him off the face of the earth.
It's the kind of case that causes you to lose sleep at night. In fact, one of the jurors at the trial had to be excused because he was so traumatized by the details of the case.
On April 21st, 2013, the jury renders their verdict.
She was asking for mercy, but the jury did not believe anything she had to say. And they sentenced her to the most that they could, which was life in prison.
I think justice was served. She can't hurt anybody else. She can't hurt the children anymore. She can't hurt anybody. All I have is a box with my son cremated and the memories in my head.
I would never thought something like this would happen to our family. She's a monster. The only thing I can ask her is why? Why couldn't you just walk away?